Live now. Alrighty. Welcome back to another episode of the FFV podcast, where I bring you the best people in Web3 straight into your ears. Today, I bring you the two legendary guests, the founder and co-founder of Saasy Labs, a blockchain protocol to move all businesses on chain. Welcome, Richie Rich and Chris. What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
What up?
No complaints.
Yeah, doing good. It's Friday.
Yeah, hell yeah, guys. Dude,
Don't remind me.
I was telling Richie Rich, man, earlier, man, you guys have just been going fucking hard on everything, dude. Just on spaces with the Yuga team, man. That was insane, man. I just gotta kudos to you guys. You guys are putting in the work, man. But hey, before we jump into everything Saasy Labs, I gotta ask you guys a few questions. The first one is a little bit personal, but it's for me and the people to get to know you guys a little more. So, where are you guys from? What was it like growing up for you? And towards the end, tell us a little bit about your background.
I'll let Chris go first.
Oh God. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so God, I'm from the Chicagoland area. I've got a background 15 plus years or so scaling large solution aggregators, data center companies, AI company most recently. Been in executive leadership in a couple roles in some of those organizations. Focused on primarily biz dev, the servant leadership, executive leadership type of role, and leading those businesses into double digit, some years triple digit growth. And some pretty large names that if I named them here, you'd immediately know them off the bat. But a lot of Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies that I've worked with in the past 15 years.
Damn. What about you, Richie Rich?
The last 10, 15 years in the cannabis space, still have a couple licenses in California. And, the whole thing started because I wanted to, use apes on cannabis packaging. And now here we are building out the tools and services to be able to do that at a larger scale.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. But dude, Chris, going back to the Fortune 500 companies, man. Could you shit. Piece of shit. Could you
This guy doesn't even know how to fucking put his phone on do not disturb.
I know, dude. I fucked up.
Fucking amateur hour over here. You never done a Twitter space?
Nah, never, bro. Never have. Nah, man. But yeah, just what were those some of those companies that you were working with?
Yeah, so I've been on teams within like Hewlett Packard Enterprise, Cohesity, quite a few big names out there. I've worked with Cisco. I've worked with just some pretty large Tech Data, TD Synnex, which is I think like Fortune 70 right now. Led a few. Been in organizational leadership and executive leadership in a few of those.
So what about you, Richie Rich, the cannabis industry, my man? What about the IP made you want to go forward with that?
Well, the space as a whole is very inorganic. It's a lot of people copying other people's shit. Once you do something cool, everybody else just replicates it and knocks it off in a way that works for them. So, I saw it as an opportunity to have something fresh that wasn't necessarily in the market as of yet by leveraging the ape IP, because it was something that obviously character-wise wasn't anything that was currently on the market. So, it kind of made sense. I've always been back in infrastructure, manufacturing, distribution, and I've helped build and develop a lot of brands that have been in the space for the last decade or so. So seeing the opportunity by being able to leverage something like, ape IP on packaging, it just kind of made sense, and it created a different opportunity than had existed prior.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And you guys both seem like you guys are really building your guys' brands out there, man. That's awesome. But hey, last question, and then let's dive into what everyone is excited to hear about. Would love to know the story on how you guys first discovered crypto, and how did that lead you into discovering NFTs in Web3?
You want to go first, Richie?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so for me, God, the earliest time I could remember hearing about cryptocurrency was Bitcoin, of course, and that might be aging myself a little bit here, but it was around like 2011-ish. I was just out of college, And my wife's family owns some bar and grills, and I was busy getting drunk and having fun with some friends. And all of a sudden, like, one of my buddies just comes up to me and starts talking about Bitcoin. It was the most random, like, weirdest engagement, but like the moment I heard about it, I was like, oh my god, like, drunken me, that's the future, that's everything. But being right out of college, didn't dive too much into it, didn't think I had the capital to sort of like play into it. um, you know let it go by the wayside for a couple of years until my brother-in-law, who's many years younger than me, um, told me a story of how he was messing around with Bitcoin in high school. And let's just say the activities that he was performing with the Bitcoin weren't the most kosher activities. But
Some silky
yeah.
roads out there, huh?
Yeah, and 2015, 2016 comes around, we start talking about it again. My first daughter becomes like 1 year old. He just brings it up at her birthday party, and I was like, you know what, man, I've been like pushing this aside for so long. I want to get in on it. He started putting like everything he had into it. I'm just reminding you, like, he's very young at this point. He's living with his parents, so whatever cash he's putting in through whatever he can, uh, any
Damn.
mechanism that he can to get into Bitcoin. And he did very, very well. We both did very, very well with that sort of like lane of investment. We just let it sit for years and years until I think it was like October 2021. He started talking to me about Bored Apes and
Gosh.
was like, "This is the coolest thing ever." At first, I was like, "I don't get it. Like, why would you spend so much money on a JPEG?" And he convinced me. We jumped in. We bought 856 at the time, and the rest is sort of history.
Damn. Real quick, man. What did your friend say to you that made it click?
Yeah, I mean, just like he talked about it as like digital currency. That there was the limited aspect of it. No more could be printed. He was sort of like
Mm.
one of the individuals, like many of us, that was like, you can't trust the dollar, you can't trust fiat, you can't trust certain aspects of the governance around that. All of that is sort of solved with Bitcoin in fewer words. And drunken me was like, hell yeah, that's the future.
Oh yeah, no, that's awesome. What about you, Richie Rich?
So I'd say probably my first introduction was definitely 2013 Silk Road days.
Nice.
Um, I was never involved in it myself. I had a lot of people try and convince me to accept crypto for cannabis back then, and I just never understood it, so I didn't bother with it. And obviously, in hindsight, the amount of Bitcoin you could get for a pound of weed in California back then was in today's dollars quite significant. So do I regret not accepting it at some point? Absolutely. Even if it would have been like 1 out of every 100 pounds, I'm like, yeah, cool, I'll take Bitcoin for it, whatever. But I didn't actually end up getting into the space until I believe it was like December of 2020, and then I got into apes in November of 21. So I got in, didn't really do much, didn't really pay attention to much. My daughter was born in January 21. So my homie at the time that I don't really talk to anymore was the one that kind of got me into it. I had this little epiphany because I told him to send me a picture of his NFTs. And I was like, well, shit, if I'm asking you for a picture of yours, I should probably be participating in this shit
Yeah.
myself, So that was kind of like my initial entrance into the space. And I originally intended on buying a punk, but I kind of saw how the community um, acted back then. It was just that elitist vibe that you got somebody that's got like 100 of them, they're arrogant fuck, and then you got somebody that's got one and they're being talked down on, and that's why I ended up going with an ape over a punk eventually.
Damn. That's crazy that you say that, man, because it kind of turned out the same way for apes. That towards the Pico top of everything, man. That shit was it's crazy to watch, man.
So money does the people.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah, man. It was pretty crazy to watch, man. Everything go down like that because there was people in the space that I thought aren't like that, really were like that, given all that money and all that clout, man. It's actually pretty crazy.
Oh, you
But
see it
dude,
all the time in my world.
no, I bet, man. The Silk Road, man. That Silk Road stuff is crazy, man. That's how I kind of got introduced to Bitcoin and all that kind of stuff too, man. But I was too fucking chicken shit. I got on there and I got scared, man. I was like, oh no,
Well,
no,
no, that
no.
was my problem. I was locked up in max security in Jamaica in 2012,
God damn.
and I got out, and Silk Road was introduced to me like late 2012, early 2013. I was like, bro, no, I'm good. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
you just straight sell into a Fed. There's
Yeah.
no shot that
Yeah.
I'm selling anything on Silk Road.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
not going back this soon.
yeah, that's exactly what I thought, man. I thought there were some feds up the other side who's ready to fucking come and get my ass, man. Nah. But all right, man, let's jump into everything Sassy Labs. But I want to start at ground zero. How did this idea come to be, and what are the goals Sassy Labs sets out to accomplish?
I think it really started with Half Baked. So when I created the brand, it was pretty much solely developed to put Yuga assets on the cannabis packaging because of the IP assignment. And the problem I encountered along the way, aside from legal incompetency, was that the current infrastructure just didn't work. You had no ability to track assets being transferred, or there was just a lot of issues that were present, from asset detection to payments to all kinds of things. And I remember our first attorney. It's funny because I always call him a paralegal now because it's the level of competency that I attribute to him. But he wanted to create a spreadsheet to where he would actively track assets moving around, but not just assets, also half-baked passes. And, we haven't done a lot of volume, but I mean, we've done 500 ETH in volume. And when you're talking a pass at floor right now is 0.07, like that's a lot of passes that you're tracking activity. Like, it just, nothing made sense. So the biggest thing was finding something to solve for that, because I knew if I had that problem, I wasn't the only one that was going to have that problem, and that there were probably others that currently had the same problem. So basically we released our first iteration back in February. We used token proof for asset verification, but the problem was we weren't capturing any on-chain signatures, because one of the things that we set out to do, especially with the protocol, was to make it as frictionless as possible for the end user. So I don't know if you've gone for a Made by Apes logo, for example, but the end-to-end process is gasless to you. So the consumer doesn't have to have a Matic in their wallet. But with the way the protocol is now built, is, it wasn't originally a protocol, but now it is. So we're capturing all those on-chain signatures for verifiability, for if there were to be, any legal recourse to be taken from a licensing agreement, to have some form of provability that, you did in fact sign that agreement, which we weren't capturing in our first iteration. So that launched in February. It took us about 4 months to put together the protocol, and our initial launch partner ended up, thankfully being Yuga, which has been a excellent experience. It's been very interesting because a lot of people don't understand the amount of work that goes in behind the scenes, and the amount of effort and interest that they have in the community. And it's funny because this is actually something that they proposed to me. It wasn't an idea that I brought to them. It just so happened that I had the tools to be able to create the vision that they had already conceptualized. So Yuga was already trying to figure out how to do this. There was just no way to do it to where it was actually facilitated on chain until we built that solution, which is why we ended up launching together.
Damn. Dude, that's awesome, man. That's badass. I didn't even know that. I didn't know that. That's why. That's how it really started from the ground up, man. That's awesome, and it's cool that they just came to you guys and you guys had all the tools. You guys were basically
that's
set
not
up,
really
huh?
how it went.
Uh-huh.
I made a very coy remark to Garg on the timeline about IP.
Yeah.
It was
I
back
remember
when
that.
somebody pretended to burn their ape to create an ordinal.
Oh, they
But
pretended to do
it didn't
that?
well, I mean, it didn't go to the burn wallet. So whatever wallet he sent it to wasn't a burn wallet.
Oh shit! I thought I was assuming that he did actually. Okay.
No,
Damn.
I mean, he was trying to claim that the wallet had some form of provenance and association with the ordinal and all this bullshit. But anyway, essentially what it came down to was, people were talking about, well, if it's in the burn wallet, I can use it, IP in relationship to IP. And I commented on something that Garga said, and I was like, well, it's an interesting situation, because if it's burned, who's going to file the copyright claim against you if you do use the IP for something? And then like a week later, PP reaches out to me. He's like, hey, Cam, our chief legal, would like to speak with you. And it was funny because prior to this, we were at a meetup in Brooklyn, and I was showing him, this is back in around February, and I was showing him like our first iteration and what we were launching for the licensing and everything. And he was like, oh, yo, we're still using DocuSign internally when we're licensing assets for media. I should show this to the team. There's probably something we could do for it. And I figured that's what the call was going to be. And then the call started off with, hey, I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page to where you understand, the IP assignment, and that if it's burned, the rights return to us. And, it was amusing, but, it led to a conversation that allowed us to share what we were working on. And it ended up turning into a really great working relationship.
Dude, that's insane, man. It's insane how a comment on Twitter fucking led all the way up to something, you guys just innovating, creating something crazy, man. That's pretty insane, man.
It wouldn't be the first time for Richie.
Yeah, man, dude, you're very outspoken out there, man. It's pretty cool to watch, man.
Well, it's funny because, some people take it as a negative, some people take it as a positive. I take it as, I'm just being myself. And ironically, me being myself is actually what led to my release when I was locked up in Jamaica. So, it saved me in that situation. So why would I be any different now? It's how I've been for the last 20 years. I'm not going to change that now just because people want me to be a little more political. I might be a little more reserved on when I want to take, when I really want to speak on certain situations, but I'm still going to speak my mind if I am talking.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And it's, we don't have to talk about it. We can. What happened in Jamaica, bro?
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move on past that.
Next question, please. Next question.
No, that's awesome, man. When did Chris? When did you get involved with all this stuff, man? When it went down?
Yeah, so Richie and I have sort of like floated around in the same social circles, at least on Twitter and whatnot. For the past year and a half, close to 2 years. And, I knew what he was doing with Half Baked and what he was up to with Mutant Grape. And, anytime he needed support with something, I'd jump and just say, hey, yeah, I can do that for you. I can handle that for you. Here, I'll put you in contact with this person. And then, I don't like to talk about like my experiences and stuff like that. I do and I be. That's just the type of person that I am, right? And Richie figured out that I had a background in SaaS and working with some very large database technology companies, and I knew what he was doing with Saasy, and we both basically, light bulbs went off, and we started talking together about how we would approach sort of scaling the solution that he had in mind against the problem that he was solving. And that was back in, I don't know, November, December of last year. And we immediately just started like diving into what our minimal viable product was going to look like, which was the first iteration that Richie talked about that was launched early February. And the rest has sort of been history. We've been, at it, grinding every single day, trying to put out the best of what we can put together, and never settling really for a status quo. It's like we always talk about, we could do things one way, we can do things another way. But I think the coolest thing about the team that we've got right now, and how we sort of jam together, is we're always sort of thinking of new ideas. Oftentimes too many ideas, but it pushes us to continue to develop some pretty innovative stuff.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's pretty cool, man. How you guys came to be. Watching you guys grow in the space and really just partner up with Yuga Labs, it just got me so crazy, man. So obviously, I'm biased. I love that project, but talking about that, I'm super excited to talk about this part for obvious reasons. So let's talk about MBA. People that don't know what MBA stands for, it stands for Made by Apes. So tell us, what is Made by Apes, and how does Saasy Labs fit into all of this?
It's essentially, Yuga wanted a way to be able to show that they are paying attention and want to have more involvement with what the community is building. And, there were a lot of people that were trying to use the Yuga trademark logo in their branding, etc. So this is kind of an alternate to that, to where they can show that it is, in relation to Yuga. with the Made by Apes logo on their branding. And, one of the main things is it kind of gives a added layer of provability that, you are building something within the community that is a viable product that I don't want to necessarily say, is backed by Yuga, but does have the support at high level, acknowledging that, there is an understanding that you're trying to build within the community. And, I see it as a great stepping stone opportunity for future involvement from Yuga as a whole to be able to provide additional value to the holders that are building within the community. And I think we all just kind of saw it as a way to really show that, there is great interest in being able to leverage your IP and create added value and opportunities, based around that. And, when they brought the idea to us, it just kind of made perfect sense, because this is exactly what the protocol was built for, was to facilitate these sorts of transactions. So one of the things is, unlike a traditional trademark agreement, you fill out a very basic form, you read the legal agreement that you're presented with, and you sign 3 on-chain signatures, start to finish. And not only do you now have a legal agreement that has been countersigned by Yuga's legal team, but you've also minted a soulbound token to your wallet that represents the fact that you have had that logo issued to you. So, in that way, I think because of the simplicity, people don't understand the significance, but nothing like this has existed before.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
the
Chris.
only thing I would add to that great explanation is just sort of like really witnessing, and I know a lot of the true OG apes, and the more familiar apes, and the people that are like have been around for a while, we all see like what Yuga does in terms of the product that they provide, the community that they've brought together, the ethos behind everything that they do. But to actually like capture that firsthand with the interactions with their team members across the various like groups or organizations within Yuga that help support and collaborate with us on this, man, it's incredible just to see sort of what they've put together behind the scenes to support everything that's going on.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's man. When I first saw that, I was so stoked on it, man. Just because I've seen so many products out there, super cool products out there that apes have been really doing and putting out there. But yeah, man, that's awesome, man. And I'm super excited to see how everything plays out with all these businesses and stuff like that. One of them is bound to be like super huge out there, building just a bigger brand for the Yuga ecosystem and all. But so it kind of gets me curious, from like this world to just regular world. So I gotta ask, but why would anyone want to go the blockchain route rather than the traditional way of doing legal?
You want to take that one, Chris?
Yeah.
I know you're horny for that question.
I mean, yeah, there's quite a few reasons, right? Certainly, there's offerings out there that are pretty simplified in terms of how you use them and how you, I guess, communicate in the legal agreement realm. You could pick anyone. You could probably blindfolded, throw a dart at the board with a bunch of the different brands and land on something that's pretty dope. Not all of them are user or UX, top of line, I would say. But they're good enough and they get the job done. And certainly there's some ones that are out there that are just excellent. But what we found at least is blockchain and smart contracts in totality, and depending on the sort of creativeness of your ability to engineer and solve for problems with the tools that have been provided by blockchain and smart contracts, offer fundamental native functionality, such as like immutability, verifiability, encryption, to name a few, that supports cryptographically secure proof signatures, digital documents, tamper-proof verification, and that's all sort of like natively built into blockchain tech and smart contract technology to an extent, right? There's certain areas that you have to continue to engineer on and think about differently. And we're seeing a ton of innovation coming through smart contracts primarily. You see some of these new EIPs that are coming out almost every other month or every other quarter at this point that are really pushing the boundary of what you can actually do in terms of ownership, verifiability, controlling your data. And we thought that those in and of themselves were really big value props, especially when it came to legal agreements. And when we talk about specifically the lowest hanging fruit for us, which is intellectual property, I mean, it's the fundamental basis of everything that we're doing, right? The reason why we have these NFT PFPs, right, is it's because it's our IP, it's our identity, right? And it's our ability to go and proliferate, to propagate, to build upon, and to do some pretty cool shit, right? Like, you know, Garga and Gordo have infamously talked about, right? They were the ones that sort of innovated this. We saw it. Uh, we saw intellectual property in the terms of NFTs as a game changer. Then we see intellectual property as a continuing game changer in the future. It's an evolving thing. If you think about intellectual property in totality, it makes up like 40% of just the US's GDP, right? Um, so why not have these features that are sort of natively ingrained in blockchain and smart contract technology backing one of the most, you know, important things to, you know, building in the future, to your identity, to true ownership. And as we talk about long term, you know, evolving of this, what are the PFPs? The PFPs are essentially your identity, and could the identity be a 3D avatar in a game in the future or in a metaverse in the future? That's my hope, right? Sort of a Ready Player One maxi, right? And
Oh
intellectual
yeah.
property is sort of the basis of that. So we thought about this, and we did a lot of research. We talked with, you know, legal professionals. We've done a lot of iteration on our protocol, and how we would actually support this. And we came up with the Saasy protocol, which essentially allows us to automate the process, streamline the process of agreements between parties, and add a layer of downstream payment automation. So the ability to actually in the future make an agreement between Richie and I to rent or to utilize the intellectual property that he owns in some way, and I would pay him, maybe escrow that payment, pay it over a specific term of time, you know, let's say 6 months, and be able to really be creative and own that entire process end to end. So the streamline factor of that, I think, is another value prop. The immutability of what blockchain technology and smart contracts are able to offer us is another one. True verifiability of intellectual property through the use of blockchain is another huge one, because it serves essentially as a database of all this intellectual property, right? Why aren't we maximizing that? And that's sort of how we came to this.
What about you, Richie Rich?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I just add to that, you know, the IP aspect of it is kind of the lowest hanging fruit where we launched that, because I had a need for that use case, but it's really built to facilitate any form of business, legal agreement, economics on chain. So, you know, a couple of things that we've been working on is, you know, take a gaming platform, for example, and interoperability of IP across those for the in-game assets. You know, I know Counter-Strike boxes are, you know, becoming all the rage again, where all the streamers are starting to open them again. You know, we can create and facilitate that in a fully on-chain manner to where it's now a digital collectible that when you sell it on marketplaces, you know, you eliminate that layer of risk that's involved by having a trust factor. So there's a lot of portions of business that we can strip trust factors out of and make them trustless. So a lot of, you know, traditional, you know, not even just IP, but legal agreements as a whole have a lot of trust factors in them, and we're building out mechanics to solve for a lot of those. And like I said, you know, it's not necessarily limited to IP, but like Chris said, it equates to over 41% of the U.S. economy. So.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
when you really look at the numbers and the total addressable market, I don't think people really understand the significance of IP, because they just think of it from from a PFP perspective. Whereas, you know, it's IP is everything. You know, every pharmaceutical product and formulation is IP. You know, every character that you see on TV is IP. It's IP is literally everything that drives the world. Your iPhone is, you know, this whole fucking thing is all different layers of intellectual property. You know, that's one of the biggest things that people don't understand. And we've kind of just built an on-chain way to facilitate things in a more streamlined fashion that has immutability added to it because everything is, fully hosted on chain.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, man. And I want to kind of go back to where, I just want to say that you guys are also kind of teaching these ape holders how to conduct this kind of stuff like the businesses and IP and branding, which is really awesome, man, because most of us as most know, none of us really have any of those business experiences or how to do these contracts. Like myself, if I were to get into something like that, I would have absolutely no fucking idea how to
Well, that's the
even
thing.
begin.
They're not cheap either. I
Yeah.
mean, if you want to have a lawyer draft an agreement for you, you're looking at somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000.
Jesus, no fucking way.
Yeah,
Oh,
if it's trademarked,
Damn.
easily 10K, right? So just imagine like all of the trademark that Yuga just launched and how much they save
Yeah,
their holders.
Jesus
It's just wild.
Christ. Damn. No, that's crazy. I didn't even know that. So, man, that's just like a lot of value just coming back and returning into as soon as you get. Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. One thing that I kind of yesterday, man, kind of off topic, kind of not really, but yesterday I had to go get my fucking passport, bro. And I couldn't get it because of my fucking birth certificate was too flimsy. It was too old, run down. They're like, hey, yeah, we're not gonna be able to accept that. I fucking left. So before that even happened, dude, I forgot my birth certificate at home. Had to go back, grab it, came back. Oh yeah, we can't accept that. Sorry, man. The whole time I'm just thinking, Jesus fuck, dude, what how can this just be easier? Like,
yeah, I just had to get a new social security card, so I know that struggle.
dude, it's fucking annoying, man. It was nuts, man. But yeah, man. Back to it, man. So we heard everything that Saasy Labs is doing and the opportunities that it's bringing. Would love to know the process of how all that kind of stuff begins. So how does the Sassy protocol utilize the blockchain technology to facilitate on-chain legal agreements? Like, how does that start? Explain it to me like as if I was 12, man. Like, I know you guys digged into it a little bit, but yeah, man.
I feel like you should ask me to have Simon on this call.
Yeah, our lead dev. Yeah, I mean, Richie, I don't know if
You're
you
like,
want
tell me how the protocol works. I'm like, man, I sell weed. What you mean tell you how the protocol works? Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, no. So I mean, essentially, the protocol has a few different functioning mechanisms within it, including smart contracts.
You got
Um,
him stuttering. Don't believe anything he says.
yeah. Yeah, it's all fake. No,
I'm in danger.
yeah, no. There's a bunch of different pieces to the protocol itself, and each one of these pieces works with one another. Like we have a notary, we have certain other aspects, and we don't want to give all the juice away just immediately. But
Basically, we have a patent pending currently, so Chris is going to be very candid with what he says.
I'm not worried about the patent
Nice.
pending. But yeah, essentially, like each one of these pieces works together. We're able to translate the terms, which are dynamic. In this case, with Yuga and what they did with Made by Apes, they have a UX that asks a bunch of different questions. It's a questionnaire essentially, and we're able to take all of those terms that essentially not all of them, but the primary ones that are answered, input them into a document through a PDF generation tool, right? And a few other different technological things that Simon could probably get more in depth around. You're able to view that document. You're able to first be the let's call yourself the promiser in this point. You essentially have the intellectual property. You promise to allow somebody to use it in exchange for some level of like financial benefit or monetization. So you sign. It's sent to the offerer. The offerer is the individual that's making the offer for the intellectual property. They review. They make sure that they're cool with the agreement. If they're not cool with it, they could decline it. Right. That's sort of like an interesting point for redlining, which is another value prop, an area that we're working on. And once the two parties essentially agree to the terms, the contract and the terms are executed on chain. And we have paymasters that essentially automate the process of paying depending on what the terms are set in that contract. So, say Richie and I come to an agreement that we have a 6-month period of time that the intellectual property is going to be used. I'm going to use it for toys, and I'm going to pay Richie $1,000 on a monthly basis, right? Uh, that paymaster will immediately put into effect that automated process of paying those that $1,000 on a monthly basis or on a 30-day schedule until the end of that contract. The cooler part of all of this is the fact that that contract follows the underlying asset in these instances, right? Where you do have that agreement between for the use of the intellectual property, in this case, an ape. So if the ape is transferred or sold, then the contract and the agreement follows the underlying asset as long as the agreement is still open. And the new party that takes ownership of the ape, that wallet, that custodian, essentially has the opportunity to opt into the agreement as well. So what we sort of focused on here is how do we really change the dynamic of current market situations and overall just discussion around legality and governance of what an NFT actually is and what it represents. And I think that's something cool that we're pushing forward in terms of moving towards the ability to provide true utility as the underlying factor of the NFT itself by associating these intellectual property agreements that carry real value, in this instance, $6,000, right? $1,000 a month for 6 months. And let's say Richie only collected 1 out of 6 of those months. There's $5,000 left in value of that contract. Wouldn't it be cool if there was a marketplace that essentially surfaced that information to say, hey, this ape carries a $5,000 upside because it's got an intellectual property contract that's open to whoever carries this ape and it opts in, right?
That's
so
juicy.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool mechanism. We've, as I mentioned, thought a lot about this and worked very diligently in sort of like R&D for the past months to try and come up with something cool. But yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I do want to add one small thing to that, which is in relation to the Made by Apes. That is a non-transferable token. That trademark assignment, as soon as the ape transfers wallets, is instantly burned.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I was about to ask about that, man, too, because and another kind of a sub question to that was the what if someone doesn't fulfill their part of the deal, whether it be performance or some kind of non-payment or something like that? What
Yeah,
happens?
it acts as well. It kind of acts better than a traditional legal agreement, but acts as a traditional legal agreement in the same sentiment, to where the agreement will automatically be voided. So if a payment is missed, the agreement is no longer active, and the distribution of products, there's a 30-day window for sell-off in that regard traditionally. But coming from that perspective, now it becomes a legal matter of somebody being able to go after, that entity that had licensed that asset to get their compensation that they were supposed to get. So, the thing is, we can only do so much to, reinvent the wheel. There's still issues that will have to be battled out in court in that regard. We can't solve for every problem.
Definitely, man. It's still the early days, man. It's most like to say. Right?
Yep.
But yeah, man, I wanted to ask a real quick question too before we move on. Because I think this is super cool. I've seen some really cool stuff out there, but what are some examples of some of the businesses under NBA that you guys have seen?
I've seen some interesting ones. I think one of the favorite ones that I'm actually trying to buy from right now is one of the Yuga staff actually has a keyboard company, and
A keyboard company.
Yeah, I'm trying to get her to make me a custom keyboard right now.
Damn.
By the way, Richie just got a Keychron like 2 months ago. He just like he's ready.
Yeah, but hers are so much better.
They are cool. They're so
Are
dope.
they?
Yeah, they're dope.
Custom mechanical, yeah, by far.
Damn,
This is what Chris is talking about currently.
Oh, what the hell? That's dope. Yeah, damn. I haven't really looked into the keyboard game, man.
Oh man, it's definitely a rabbit hole.
Really? That deep?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
You
funny, man.
think NFTs have a cult following?
Keyboard following?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
What? Nah,
Absolutely.
that's crazy, dude. I didn't know that. It's crazy what's out there in the world.
Imperia is doing custom keyboards. I thought that was a dope one. There's a lot of products that are coming. I know Jonathan Long has some toys coming out. He was actually waiting for packaging production to get his Made by Apes logo, which I believe was approved today, if I'm not mistaken. There's a lot of things. I mean, there's everything. You
Yeah.
have literally every form of product. You have alcohol, you have food, you have apparel. Literally anything that you want is pretty much already been submitted for, which is, definitely pretty interesting to see what everybody's been building.
Yeah, there's some content creation
Yeah.
groups as well, right? I saw board. I think it's Board Media is on there, and a few others. Hell, you should get on there, FFE.
I know, man. I was thinking about that, man. But I want to create something cool for like my banner because that's one of the questions. Right now, I don't have one, so I'm gonna create something
And
cool.
yeah, and you can't update it. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta
exactly.
get it right the first time.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm going out. I'm creating something right now, cool, and then I'm gonna be doing the whole because I want to submit it, and everything's perfect, everything's good, clean, everything's all good. But yeah, man, I was super excited about that to be honest. The cool thing was the entertainment part. I thought
Yep.
it was just only gonna be IP kind of stuff, putting your apes on products and things like that. But it's cool to see the entertainment side really being supported as well, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just all in relation to whatever ape is being used for. It's not necessarily product derived. It's, any use case that you have found. Like Sassy holds Made by Apes #1. It's anything that you're doing as an ape, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That gets me stoked. That gets me fucking excited. All right, man. Last few questions before I let you guys go. I know you guys must be sorry, must be really busy. But what's the future look like for Richie Rich, Chris, and Sassy Labs? What should we be looking forward to? Oh, all I get some smiles. All I see is smiles.
You see the way these NDAs are structured.
Yeah. No, I
Richie
feel
knows
you,
I
man.
love my NDAs.
I feel you, bro. I feel you. Yeah.
One of the things I can say is there's an agnostic IP marketplace launching in the next couple weeks that will be powered by Sassy. Like I said, if people believe that this trademark assignment for a community logo was the only thing that Yuga was intending on doing, they're sadly mistaken. There's definitely additional opportunities coming in the pipeline. Yuga is very eager to have a lot of involvement with the community and support community initiatives. There's a couple other projects that we're working with currently that have some cool things coming out as well. It's just we have to be pretty tight-lipped of what we're allowed to talk about because I can't front run other people's announcements.
Yeah.
But what I will say is it's going to be an exciting late Q3, Q4, and there have been one way I'll put it is there's been a lot of people speculating what they intend to build, what makes sense to build, or what they were building that never really came to fruition. And a lot of what has been speculated is a lot of what we've actually been building. So there's a lot of things in the market that people had that were great ideas that we had to have the protocol live before we could build on top of the protocol. But there's a lot of things that we've had in the pipeline for the last year that are finally starting to come to fruition, which is, like what you saw with Made by Apes, what you'll see with the IP marketplace, and then a couple other opportunities by end of year and early Q1 that I think a lot of people are going to be excited about. I always say that we have some exciting partnerships coming and a lot of exciting products coming, but I kind of sandbag it because I think they are more significant than I make them sound. It's just, if you give too much information, you can figure out what I'm talking about based off of what others have leaked. So I can only say so much. Otherwise, I'm contributing to the problem.
Yeah, he's trying to curb expectations a little bit, just a tad. I think the coolest part is, and the most exciting part is just continuing to build, technology that really supports this space. We started Sassy with sort of one goal, and it remains the goal, and it's how do we continue to push to have business on chain, right? To have all of these positive factors that we were talking about with blockchain technology, smart contract technology, now smart wallets, and certain other technologies that are coming up. How do you push the envelope to integrate those technologies to bring a way to essentially just bring business on chain to do the cool things that you see in IRL but move them to more of a decentralized fashion, or at least feel like more of a decentralized fashion without all the complexity that we face today with blockchain technology and onboarding and those sort of things. So that's the exciting part for me, at least, is like actually seeing these ideas come to fruition in the future and everybody getting to experience it.
I think the biggest thing is everybody else is creating problems to solve, whereas we're solving for problems that exist.
Yeah, easily too, man. I see that you guys have just been, you guys thought of everything, man. Whatever route that anybody could think of or go, you guys thought about it, and it gets me super excited for you guys' future, man. But I got one more question for you guys, and I'll let you guys go. This is more of a personal kind of thing, opinions. But give me your honest opinion. How do you feel about the current state and sentiments of the NFT and Web3 space? Expectations, projects, people, whatever's on your mind.
I think people are still too caught up in 2021 and have this unrealistic expectation that, there's going to be tremendous upside in PFP markets, which is hyper unrealistic because nobody's really found a way to derive value. I was arguing with one of the founders of OK Bears on a Twitter space yesterday, for example, where he was telling me that he didn't value IP and that he didn't understand why building products in Web 2 were necessary because Web 3 is this and Web 3 is that. And I think these are the fundamental flaws of the space is, the majority of people that have created projects have never created businesses. So when you need to now develop a business, when you've never done that before, it creates a burden because you don't really know what you're doing. You don't have the necessary resources to execute the vision that you have sold. And I think that's why there's only a handful of projects that are going to come out of this market successful because they understand how to adapt and overcome the circumstances of the market to where they're not reliant, on secondary sales volume or selling new items to holders. Like once you start capturing opportunity by developing products and initiatives that actually support the community and create value adds is where you'll start to see the success, which is where I think we aid in that process by creating, a foundation for a lot of opportunities to be built upon, especially when it comes to leveraging the IP that's been assigned to the community. So I think we're going to see a pretty big shift over the next 12 to 18 months. That's a lot more focused on building within the current infrastructure and creating opportunities from it, as opposed to, just consistently trying to drain more and more funding out of, already drained economy.
And real quick, man, before we move to Chris, the PFP kind of talk, man. This is my personal opinion, but and let me know what you guys think about it. I think that like anything new PFP wise, or anything that has won or is winning or whatever you want to call it is won. You know what I mean? Anything that's lost its way, it's going to zero or whatever. Do you think this is it? Like PFPs is just a no more kind of a thing? Or like, do you think there'll be more successful ones?
No, see, I think PFPs were a hype cycle and an opportunity to be able to spread the technology more easily initially. But now that people understand the technology, there's a lot more being built outside of a PFP. I just think it was an easy access opportunity to leverage blockchain technology. It is a non-fungible token in that regard. But I think now people are really more interested in actually building with a blockchain technology as opposed to just, trying to put out random things here and there. This is why I believe Yuga took the shift that they did and all the advancements that they're trying to push through with gaming and, a few other initiatives that they have going on, and why we're seeing a lot more, I guess you could say, sleepers in the space right now that are building opportunities that a lot of people aren't paying attention to that will be fairly significant in the coming months because people were introduced to the space through, the PFP bull market. And now that they have a better understanding of the technology and the opportunities that are present, the ones that are actually interested in being here and building dope shit are doing exactly that. And they're going to take advantage of this market. So that way, the next time the bull comes, it's not going to be a meteoric rise of PFPs. It's going to be all of these, entities that have been building, real tangible products, while the markets in the bear are exactly who's going to thrive in the next bull.
Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that Richie just mentioned. I mean, the only things that I would add is, quote unquote Web 2, the public domain, whatever you want to call it, right, is absolutely important, right? I mean, that is a vastly larger total addressable market in many different ways than what is currently available in Web 3. I think focusing on building true businesses is the most important aspect, right? It's sort of the big focus for us in developing Sassy is like we want to be the sort of like pickaxes and shovels for everybody to use in the future in order to be able to operate their businesses in this sort of like Web 2.5, Web 3 manner, right? In terms of like integrating blockchain, integrating smart contracts the way that we can. Uh, and we started with that, right? We didn't want to focus on the PFP game, the NFT game, right? We love what a lot of companies are doing out there, and we think that they've developed some really strong intellectual property, right? Like Bored Ape and some of the others that are up there with them. Uh,
I mean,
but
you can see my pudgy toys behind
yeah,
me.
Oh yeah.
Pudgy right there too. Shout out to Luca, uh, yeah, and Lorenzo. Yeah, it's for us, it, you can't turn your back on Web 2. You can't turn your back on the public domain, right? There's just too much opportunity there. You have to focus on how you develop a successful business. Um, and candidly, right, while the total general user count of wallet activity communities, whatever you want to call it, in Web3, it might have diminished a little bit. I think that a lot of projects have an extreme opportunity with the communities that they have, because that, I mean, candidly, they've essentially created their largest fans in those communities, right? So they have the ability, rather than extracting value from them, which is the doom and gloom that's always spread on the TL, right, on Twitter, but focus on how you can you work with your community, collaborate with your community to essentially provide value, to build businesses together, to propagate and proliferate the intellectual property and the great things that you're building with one another. I'm not a big fan of like the hype cycle stuff, right? I'm more of like build in silence, do what you got to do, bring people along with you. And I'd like to see more of that, in my opinion, in the current ecosystem. And I'd say that's probably it.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see a big shift over to digital collectibles as well. You know, NFTs are dead, like they are, and
Yeah.
that word NFT is dead. Like it nobody outside of
Cringy.
yeah, exactly. Nobody outside of our small circle on Twitter wants to hear NFT, but you say digital collectible, and people's ears perk up.
Oh yeah.
They're very interested. They
Even
they like
mine
the
do.
technology and the opportunity, but digital collectibles are the direction that we're taking. And, I think people highly underestimate the value that those are going to carry. But at the same time, you need something like Sassy to be able to have that foundational layer to power that and, create and facilitates a lot of the transactional aspects of them. So, I think there's a shift that is coming, and I don't think it's gonna be very extreme. I think it'll be subtle at first, and then I think a lot of people kind of have that aha moment as they see it happen, and then we'll transition from the current negative sentiment over to something that's gonna be a lot more fun again. And I think with blunders of late, people are finally starting to understand that that social capital and that consistent desire to overhype and continue to drive narratives that are unrealistic. Like at the end of the day, Web3 Twitter doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
this is such a small niche market that it's as insignificant as you could be. And by thinking that blockchain tech is going to live or die in our space is, absurd. We're we're the building blocks for the people that are building something bigger. And until people start to understand that we need to do better and create accountability so that way people that are regular people that are building cool shit that are trying to build within our small niche community, it's gonna be taken over by big corporations. And the thesis that people had about being able to create this new wave of opportunity is gonna be gone because too many people tried to, take advantage of it and blundered, and big corporations stepped in and did it properly to where people don't care. They're buying their digital collectibles now from fucking Fortnite. And that's all that matters because Fortnite's not gonna fucking pretend that they have a massive announcement coming for 6 months and then drop nothing.
Yeah.
It's That's what people don't understand is, you know, you set yourself up for failure, you're setting the community up for failure. And there's gonna be a small margin that actually make it out to be able to bang it out with contenders. And I think that's one thing that Yuga themselves has actually done really well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with all that take, man. Especially the accountability part, man. Because you know, on both ends, you know, there's so much expectation, so high expectation. You know what I mean with the community, but at the same time, these founders are just leading us on to do things like that to really make up our own minds of these speculations that we
Yep.
think it's gonna happen and shit like that, man. I also think there's like tons of like new money, just sitting on the sideline, man. Really, really not interested in what's going on today, but just ready to
I would
deploy.
I wouldn't put capital in right now,
No,
personally.
no,
I
no.
wouldn't.
I don't blame anybody that has that sentiment. I just feel like some people are kind of on the sideline, just waiting for the new innovations to come and everything else. But yeah, Chris, you wanted to add anything else, man?
No, I'm good.
All
I
right,
love the
man.
conversation.
No, I appreciate it, man. All right, man. That's all I had for you guys. Before we head out, though, where can people find out about you guys, Saasy Labs, and how does someone start the process if somebody wanted to, you know, go ahead and start their own MBA or along those lines?
I mean, you know, if they want to create some form of trademark structure or IP licensing for their community, easiest way is just go to sassylabs.io and just use the contact form, send us an email, reach out, and you know, it's a pretty easy onboarding process to where, uh, I mean, we do white glove service. So if you don't have a team in place to be able to implement it yourselves, we can facilitate it for you, etc. So we essentially have made it as turnkey as possible. Either you can integrate our SDK and leverage your API key to do it yourself, or we can white glove service for you.
Yeah, we can help you build on top of the SDK essentially.
Damn. No, that's awesome, man. Because you know, I only really speak for myself when I say these things, but dude, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing usually when it comes to those things like that. You know what I mean? So it's a huge thing for someone like me to have support from people like you know, because like I said, this is all brand new to me. But hey guys, thank you guys for jumping on the pod. I really appreciate your time and the opportunity. I know everyone's gonna have a great time listening. But yeah, man, thank you guys again, and hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Thanks
for
so much.
having us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, man. Alrighty. Cool, guys.